So now we're down to this line. And let's see if we could get a little bit more clarity on that. Eric, is this helping you at all? Kind of stepping through it? You know, one thing you could also look for is in effective go. Is there anything about the blank identifier? Right? And I'm just looking to see. So here we're discarding a value with the blank identifier. If you only need the second item in the range, the value, right? So that's ranging a range loop. And another range loop, another range loop. And ignoring the first value in an iota. Bit shifting. Blank identifier, blank identifier, blank identifier. Here's an import blank identifier, import for side effect. So this gives us a little bit more information. So the language spec gave us information, and we go to the Golang spec as one source of information. And then we also go to effective go as another source of information. So right here we're in effective go, and if you look at golang.org, both of those documents are like the go-to documents for getting the official information about Go. And so we have effective Go, which is right here. And I just Googled it before, said, hey, bring up effective Go. And we also have the language specification, which is right here. But we've come to there we go. We've come to effective Go, and there's a little bit more about importing for a side effect. So we could read this. And effective Go will sometimes give a more English explanation, more readable explanation of something. An unused import like funct or IO in the previous example should eventually be used or removed. Blank assignments identify code as work in progress, but sometimes it's useful to import a package only for its side effects without any explicit use. For example, during its init function, the nethp pprof package registers HP handlers and provides debugging information. It has an exported API, but most clients need only the handler registration and access the data through a web page. Most clients need only the handler registration and access the data through a web page. To import the package only for its side effects, rename the package to the blank identifier. This form of import makes clear that the package is being imported for its side effects because there is no other possible use of the package. In this file, it doesn't have a name. If it did and we didn't use the name, the compiler would reject the program. All right, so we've got this next line that we're figuring out now. Yeah, we kind of already looked at this, right? We get the connection string, and it could be a URL like this. Or the connection string up here was user, and so ours would be bond, but nowhere does it say password. So I'm going to search for connection string here and just see, you know, we've got 5 examples, 4 of them are right there. And there's see this for more information about connection string parameters. And then so I'm thinking if we read through all of this, we'll gain maybe a little bit more insight, or we might on the above. Anybody interested, or skip it? Raise your hand if it's skip it. Raise your hand if it's like, oh, let's explore it a little bit. Some people not raising their hands. When establishing a connection, you're expected to supply a connection string containing 0 or more parameters. So, you know, that's expected, right? It's just what the database wants. This is the way Postgres works. And so, and it also looks like, right, a lot of them work that way. Because if we look at package SQL, and if we look at the open, right, here, So we'll just see what open, right? That's like the one open. So we're going to open a DB. It wants the driver name and then the data source name and database specified database driver and driver specific data source name, usually consisting of at least a database name, connection information, right? So that's the string that gets provided. And in our code, here's that string that's being provided. So let's just read, see if we learn a little bit more about Postgres. A subset of the connection parameters supported by are also supported by Postgres. Additionally, Postgres lets you specify runtime parameters directly in connection string. This is different from that. Instead, requiring supply options parameter. For compatibility, the following special connection parameters are supported. And so it looks like these are all connection parameters. And here we had, up here we had user, but no password. I'm just looking to see if, so password's there. So we might have been able to supply it like this, right? Just in that kind of a system. Instead of this URL one. So that might be interesting to try. And using invalid values for SSL and more information about connection string parameters, we could look here. And now we're actually at Postgres and connection string. And so keyword value connection strings. In the first format, each parameter setting is in the form keyword equal value. Spaces around the equal sign are optional. To write an empty value or value surrounded with single quotes, example. So that's kind of like this. Connection string. Several lib Postgres functions parse a user-specified string to obtain connection parameters. There are two accepted formats for these strings, plain keyword equal value strings and URIs. URIs generally follow RFC request for comment 3986, except that multiple host connection strings are allowed as further described below. So uniform resource identifier, this is how they're described. So we could do a keyword value connection string, or we could do a connection URI. And the general form for a connection URI is this, right? So user, password, and the brackets mean optional. So like all this is optional, everything in a bracket. And that's, oh, I'm spacing on it. It's like right almost came forward from my mind. Bacchus Noir Form Wiki. So Bacchus Noir Form, Wikipedia, and there's extended Bacchus Noir. I don't even know how you say it because I didn't study comp sci. I studied business. But Bacchus Noir Form, maybe that's what you say it if you're from the South. Bacchus Noir Farm is like this syntax and what all these different symbols mean. So I'm just looking to see if I could find something quickly. EBNF. I'm just looking to see if there's like, so an option can be represented through square brackets, right? So anything that's optional is in square brackets. And or is the pipe. So where's our pipe? So it should tell us something about, so the basics of it. So here you can see digit is a 0 or a digit excluding 0. That can be a 1 or 2, right? So, or 3 or so forth to 9. So that pipe is an or. Oh, here we go. Alternation, optional, repetition, grouping. So like, you know, different EBNF. And so here's some EBNF. So I think it'd be interesting. We have a connection right now with a URI. Let's try a keyword value and see if we could also connect to the database and just see what that looks like rewrite it. Does that sound good? So just to summarize what we're learning, okay? Because we've been banging at it. And now we're going to summarize. I'll summarize in the next video. So we could have a video called summary.